You are not tired, you are not overtrained, you are just dehydrated, and it is killing your performance. I work with athletes all the time who are got their eating on lock. We got a solid routine there. They're doing their workouts, they maybe even sleeping well on top of that, but they are still struggling with energy. And then we dig a little deeper and find out that they're kind of lagging on their hydration. Like even this weekend, I was chatting with some of my clients, and I would say about a quarter of them after spring break started struggling with their hydration. And so, this is something where you're struggling with low energy, headaches, soreness that just won't go away, brain fog in class, or you are crashing mid practice. Yes, it might be your nutrition, it might be your sleep, but oftentimes it's actually your hydration. So today I am breaking down why hydration is one of the most underrated performance tools in your toolbox and how to get it right. So you only need to be 1% dehydrated to lose focus, slow down, and underperform. Just 1%, just a little bit of dehydration can mess up your performance. Studies show that even that mild dehydration, that 1 to 2% of your body weight loss from fluids, can lead to decreased strength and power, lower reaction times, poor decision making, increased soreness, and slower recovery. Now let me throw that stat back out there. That 1 to 2% of your body weight. So if you are 150 pounds and you lose 1 to 2% of your body weight, so that's about 1.5, 3 pounds. Just a little bit. If you lose that much in water weight, in fluid, that can lead to all these things I just listed. Just a little bit. Just because you are not hungry does not mean you are eating enough. Same goes for hydration. Just because you don't feel thirsty does not mean you are well hydrated. You may not feel thirsty, but it doesn't mean that you are well hydrated. That means you got to make sure that, you are hydrating regardless. In a few here, we're going to talk about how you can tell if you're hydrated or not, but you've got to drink water even when you're not thirsty, just like you might have to eat even when you're not hungry. And this goes for you as an athlete. This may go for you as an adult. This is definitely going to apply to you when you get older as well. Make sure that you are hydrating, that you are drinking water, even if you're not thirsty. Because if you are thirsty, chances are you're already behind. Thirst is not the first sign of dehydration. It is actually one of the later signs of dehydration. You need to be drinking water consistently. Now, just because you drink water at practice does not mean you are getting enough. Drinking water during practice is already too late to fix it. You're being reactive, not proactive. You can't get to New York if you fill up your gas tank after the trip. Just not going to work. You got to do it before. And the longer you wait to fill your gas tank, the more pit stops you're going to have to take. So think about it. If you are not consistently hydrating all day, you wait to drink water until practice. Number one, you're going to feel more sluggish. You're going to struggle with energy, but you're also going to constantly feel like, I got to drink more water. I got to drink more water. Every single time you have a little break in practice, you're going to be like, I got to drink more water. And if you don't, your performance is going to suffer even more. But what if instead of being reactive, only drinking water when you're thirsty, only drinking water when you are working out, you're proactive? You start drinking water the night before, you start drinking water first thing in the morning, and you are drinking water throughout the day. You are going to perform better, and you are going to get to your destination a lot quicker, a lot more effectively, and you're going to turn more heads. You cannot reach your potential if you are not well hydrated. It's not going to happen. So, first step for you guys, start your day with water. Whether it be, hey, if your phone is your alarm and it's on your nightstand, set your water bottle right there. Set it right next to that phone so that you will not forget. If you take a shower first thing in the morning, stick your water bottle in a place where you are going to trip over it on the way to onto the way to the bathroom. If you gotta pee first thing in the morning, stick some water right there by the sink or right there by the toilet, a reminder to you that you will not forget. It is easy when first thing in the morning to forget what you wanted to start doing. If you are trying to start working out in the morning and you don't set any sort of plan for it, chances are when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna be like, oh heck no, like I ain't gonna wake up. I'm going back to sleep. Same thing with hydration, same thing with any new habit in the morning. You've got to develop a plan and you've got to connect that habit with something you're already doing. So if you're dehydrated, if you need to drink water in the morning, then put your water next to something that you already do in the morning. Put it next to your phone, your alarm clock, whatever it might be. Make sure that that is the first thing you do, not checking your phone. You should be drinking water before you check your phone, before you run to the bathroom, any of those things. Drink some water. Second step, keep a water bottle with you, not just at home. Bring a water bottle to school. It doesn't have to be one of those gallon jugs. It can be 32 to 40 ounce. Honestly, I recommend the 32 to 40 ounce because they fit in some cup holders and they don't take up as much space. But if you think about a 16 to 24 ounce, you're going to have to constantly fill it up to get the amount of water that you need in a day, which means you're probably not going to actually drink enough water. So that 32, 40 ounces, a happy medium, you can find that balance there and it'll get you what you need. Now, I got to highlight this because I just got a text yesterday from a client who was like, well, so I'm drinking water at the water fountain, between every class. I go to water, or I finish class, I drink water. I finish the next class, I drink water. Is that enough? And I'm going to tell you it's not. If you just drink a few, unless you're like sitting there, like chugging that water fountain, which most people don't, then you are not getting enough water. Gotta have a water bottle, gotta have something to continue that consistency and to make sure that you're drinking water consistently throughout the day versus just little sips at the water fountain. The next thing is front load your hydration in the morning and early afternoon. So this is basically what we're talking about, but I want to stress this. You trying to go on a trip with half a tank means you're going to make more pit stops. So if you go into that trip, you go into that game, you go into that workout and your tank's already 90% full, you're going to be able to sustain that workout a lot more effectively. The same thing goes with your food. If you go into your workouts and your games and you skipped breakfast, you got a mediocre lunch, and or you did not eat pre-workout, you're either going to tank halfway through that game or you're going to be constantly trying to snack and fit things in. Front load your hydration, front load your eating so that you have enough in your tank for games, for workouts, so that you can perform at the way that you should. Because then all you got to do is little top offs. You take a little few sips of water every, 10, 15 minutes. You eat a little snack every 30 to 60 minutes, low carbs. Boom, that right there makes it so that you're not exhausted, so that you are actually still performing at a high level, even into the ninth innings, even into the fourth quarters, even into the last seconds of the game. Now, this one, thankfully, I do not have this issue with my clients, but I know that this is an issue with a lot of athletes that I speak to, a lot of the teams, a lot of the schools I've gone to. Tends to be more of an issue with the female athletes, but I know the males have their issues as well. Celsius, Prime, and soda, none of these are hydration. None of these count as your hydration for the day. Do not count your energy drinks, your pre-workouts, your sodas as hydration, because they're not. They often actually dehydrate you because they make you pee more. They basically force you to get rid of a lot of your fluids. That is not going to be good for performance. And so do not think that that is part of your hydration for the day. I might drink my coffee, but I'm not counting that towards my 100 to 120 ounces of the day. I drink 3 of these bottles a day. That I do not count my coffee towards that hydration. Now, this doesn't mean don't drink caffeine. That's a whole nother topic we can get into. And I typically do not recommend caffeine, especially for my youth athletes, my high school, middle school athletes. But don't confuse caffeine with hydration. Focus your hydration on water and electrolytes. All right. A lot of you guys ask me, how can I know that I'm drinking enough water? How do I know that I'm hydrated? Your urine tells you more than TikTok does. Your urine will tell you whether you are hydrated or not. Unless you're on some antibiotics, you got some other medications going on, your urine is a really good message of whether you are drinking enough water or not. If your urine looks more like a clear to light yellow, you are hydrated. think like a pale lemonade. If your pee looks dark yellow, think apple juice. You are dehydrated. You are behind. So make sure that you are checking those things. And it's a really easy thing to remember. Every single time I go to the bathroom now, ever since I learned that years ago, every single time I'm like, how's my pee count? How am I doing? Oh shoot, like last night I did not drink enough water last night. I gotta make up for that. I gotta catch up. Be aware of those things. Pay attention to those things. It's an easy thing. There's different ways that people will check their hydration. There's the weighing before and after workouts and whatnot. But really, one of the easiest ways that you can tell is let's look at what your pee looks like. If it's deep yellow, you're doing something wrong. Now, there is such a thing as overhydration. If it's completely clear consistently, there's probably a problem there. But more often than not, your issue is going to be not getting enough water. So let's fix that. The other important thing is if you are not peeing often, then you're behind. I know that it can be annoying to have to pee frequently throughout the day. But honestly, it's a better sign that you are actually well hydrated if you are having to use the bathroom often. It doesn't mean like every 5 minutes, doesn't mean every 20 minutes. It means that you're peeing at least a handful of times a day. It's not just before school or when you wake up and, once at school and then once later. It's like, no, like you got to do, around 5, if not definitely more than that per day. And again, the more important part of it is what color is that pee? Now, a lot of you guys also asking me about electrolytes as well. You guys, I see people post about them drinking Prime. I see parents bringing these to the games. They got the Prime, they got the Body Armor. Prime and Body Armor are not workout drinks. Prime and Body Armor, their main electrolyte is potassium. The number one electrolyte in your sweat is sodium. That should be your focus. If you are sweating a lot, you are losing water, but then you are losing sodium as well, salt. And then below that, smaller percentages, you are losing potassium, magnesium, calcium, etc., all these other little guys. But that number one that you lose is sodium, which means your number one replacement during workouts should be sodium. That potassium, that magnesium, let's work on that other times a day. Get smaller percentages in your electrolyte drinks, but really focus your energy on sodium. That should be the number one priority in your sports drinks. So that Body Armor and that Prime do not cut it. Now, it doesn't mean I want to highlight that you do not necessarily need electrolytes all the time, but if you are sweating a lot, if you are needing to drink a ton of water, you might need some electrolytes. If you're in the South where it's very humid and you are drip and sweat, then yeah, you probably need some electrolytes. You're probably losing a good amount. So make sure that you are replacing that. If you're, again, needing to drink a lot of water, more than a gallon a day, chances are you're going to need electrolytes. I had an athlete that I had a call with once, and they had this incident where they drank 2 gallons of water in a day. They lived in California, there was heat, and they actually ended up getting hospitalized because what can happen is if you drink too much water, you basically dilute everything in your body, in your blood, and it can make you a little loopy. This same thing with hypothermia can do the same thing on you, but basically it makes it so that you're very diluted, where you have a very low blood sodium, and that can impact your brain, that can impact a lot of things. And so we got to be careful. That's where we got to make sure if we're drinking more than a gallon a day, you're definitely going to need some electrolytes either in food or through a sports drink. Now, you can get them from salty snacks. You can get them from adding a little salt to meals. But I get asked a lot, what electrolyte drinks should we be buying? Should we be drinking? And my top 3 for you guys are going to be Scratch Labs, Liquid IV, and Drip Drop. So Drip Drop, I've seen used by University of Washington football. I've seen them in different high-level places as a alternative to Gatorade and Powerade. I don't love Gatorade Powerade. It's cheap. It has some cheap ingredients in there that have warning labels in Europe. There's a lot of kind of red flags with Gatorade and Powerade and Pedialyte, especially with the food colors. So Drip Drop is often the alternative. The issue though with Drip Drop that can be an issue is it is relatively low sugar. So when we think about electrolytes, we absorb electrolytes better. We hold on to those electrolytes better if it's in sugar. if it's in carbohydrates. When they give you an IV in the hospital, most often it's going to have a little bit of D5 in there, which is just dextrose, which is sugar. So you're going to need some of that to make sure you're actually absorbing it the way that you should. Plus, you are drinking these electrolyte drinks while you are working out, while you are burning calories, while you are burning sugar. So if you don't want to tank, if you want to stay energized, then you got to make sure you are getting sugar in those electrolyte drinks, or have that sugar in another snack. But usually it's a little easier if you combine the two. So drip drop's a great option. It is a little bit lower sugar, depends on what you need. Liquid IV, a little bit more sugar, higher sodium than some of the other options, but it's also super easy to buy. You know, you got it at Costco, you got it in pretty much all the grocery stores. It's a really accessible one that you can add. And then there's Scratch Labs. I like Scratch Labs. That's what I use. You know, whenever I'm going to games and I'm helping out providing stuff for athletes, I'm giving Scratch Labs. You got the sodium, you've got the potassium, magnesium in smaller amounts, and you have Scratch ingredients. You have better quality ingredients. And it's got the sugar that you need. So if you guys are like curious, you know, you guys can shoot me a message. I can send you guys links to those. With the Scratch Labs, I do have an account with them. And so if you guys want 20% off, I can on their website, if you just type in Lemke at checkout, you're going to get 20% off of that order. So you got some options there. You know, Drip Drop, Liquid IV, Scratch Labs if you want the 20% off. So yeah, again, right, electrolytes are going to help you keep that water. It helps you hold on to that water a little better. So if you're drinking a ton of water, you need a little bit of electrolytes. You need a little bit of that to hold on to all of that water that you're taking in. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. And it's a nice little strategy if you're traveling. You know, if you're on a plane, I tend to eat more salty foods on a plane so that I don't have to pee as much, especially because I like window seats. So little hack there as well. All right. So, you know, if you've been feeling sluggish, sore, foggy, weak, flat in your workouts, there's probably three big reasons. You're not eating enough or eating enough of the right foods. You're not sleeping enough, or you are dehydrated. So make sure that you are not ignoring your hydration. Make sure that you're starting tomorrow by drinking 16 to 24 ounces of water before you go to school. So drink 12 to 16 ounces first thing when you wake up, and then drink another 8-ish ounces by the time you leave for school. Easy. Use the pee test. It's an easy way to tell if you are hydrated or not. Now, again, if you take antibiotics, you have other things going on, it might influence that color of your pee, but in general, you can use that rule. Make sure that if you are drinking a crap ton of water, or you are having more intense days, heat wise, training wise, etc., then yeah, you probably need to add a little bit of electrolytes to that water as well. And then again, stop using energy drinks and soda as your hydration, or really frankly at all. You know, I don't recommend soda for anybody. Energy drinks, I don't really recommend for anybody. I'd rather, if you're going to do your caffeine, do some coffee, do some tea, do something that you actually know what's in it, that you actually know that there's no other hidden ingredients in it, and that it is actually certified for sports. So you're not ending up with any banned substances or anything like that in there. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Make sure that you share this with somebody who struggles with hydration. I'm sure you have a teammate that is struggling with energy, who is struggling with being tired, who is holding your team back. Show them this episode. Show them some of the highlight clips that I'll be posting, and hand them a water bottle. Ask me for a water bottle if you're local, because I got like 2 cases of little plastic water bottles in my car. I got snacks, I always got things. So this is what you guys got to do. If you guys want to perform it the way you should, plan ahead, get the hydration, get the snacks, get those things ready so that you can perform the way that you should from the beginning of the game all the way to the end. And remember, subscribe. If you guys are not already subscribed, do it. And if you have questions, you got comment down below. You got little comments now. I like that Spotify and whatnot. You guys can comment your questions. Comment your questions about hydration. I will unpack them. I'll probably make a whole video about it. So don't forget that. And as always, keep striving for greatness.